we know that this is going to be an issue. Often, those chillers have a number of years on them. It seems like no chiller. One of the chillers, small chillers up and running, and small chillers only slightly smaller than the big chiller. But the small chillers up and running, it's right now we're waiting on them to show up to the recirculation pump for the big chiller, bring it back online. We'll be fine this morning, and if they get that pump rebuilt before noon, which is a possibility. Last time they got rebuilt it like an hour and a half when we finally got here. It's just, we gotta get going. Are you ready to do this? All right. At this time, we're going to call this special meeting of the Hill County Commissioners to order. This the 8th day. Oh, those the other ones? Yeah, going from YouTube, and I printed a bunch of stuff, a bunch of copies of things, and I feel like I got to get them on this. Gotcha. We want to be careful with that. This meeting's been posted to Texas Government Court of Texas Government Code 551, better known as the Open Meetings Act. In the order of business today is budget hearings. It's that time of year again. Give me just a second. I'm going to log into the budget software that we've been using so that I can get you information and questions as we go along. Friday, I was given the tax rates, or what appear to be the final tax rates signed by the tax assessor collectors. We've got some new numbers. We turned this budget in not last Friday, the Friday before, as required by law. And we now have some more numbers. Revenue is going to go up here. So that's a good thing. It means it's great for Road and Bridge after Loudon because it goes up. It'll go up with general fund some too. I am sitting here right now looking for my login to Gravity on this computer. I'm not understanding why it's not working with me this morning. So
The rest of our things.
the rest of what?
Our things. It goes to them like in July.
No, it was into August. And sometime this month we're supposed to be here. I think. Mark, let me double check that one. But I believe that's supposed to be okay.
You know, we were worried about it.
Yeah, let me actually order to receive that. Let me ask Susan about that. Let me check and borrow my big mouth about that. Log in for Gravity. All right, let's do this. Why is this computer not logging in Gravity this morning? Site views. It's
That's who I call.
He's not sitting here. Dude, be honest, I think it's amazing. It's one thing to throw a dude under the bus when he's not in the room, but right in front of his face, let's get brutal on this place. I would like to. I've seen how this thing works. Here we go. Gravity and let's sign in. Sign in with the J. It's probably, yes, ma'am, you're probably 100% correct. Why does it not? It's not finding me. It says it can't identify me. That's that happens.
Well, this is just like Road and Bridge. Temperature.
Yeah. Is this cool on your?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I bet it's not this way on top of that broom. I think the broom would be a little bit hotter. Latest draft.
It's nice here. It's a battery.
That's the beauty of this courthouse. Heat rises. Heat rises. I'm just looking at my position, Things aren't bad for us at the moment. This is. Ooh,
Sir,
that's brutal.
what?
Right, here's this
Oh,
again.
what? The constables first,
Jay Lewis.
emergency management,
Next.
who's at healthcare. Susan.
Yay, we're in. Okay, and then we're gonna duplicate this tab. We're good to go. Budgeting, all right. O&M. Where are we starting at today with me? John Miller, precinct 1. John. What's that? Momentum. All right, so let's go down here to Constable, precinct one. Some of the constables were with us, some are not with us today. Know that there's two that are training. Mr. Gersh and I talked this morning, and him and Constable Armstrong are in training at this time, so there is, I'll tell you independently what they've asked for in their budget since then. So, okay. John, have you seen your budget?
Yeah,
And questions, concerns, commentary?
all the figures in the proposed budget, in total agreement with say one,
Okay.
it's security equipment.
Yes, sir.
As I had mentioned in my total, I had increased that by $1,000 for the purchase of safe. To house, fire engines been compensated from the order. I need that in order to be able to perform my duty.
Okay, good deal.
I would like to change that one figure, line item 2602, from $1,000 to $2,000.
Okay. It's cost of doing business. You buy a safe one time. I'm not opposed to it. Making Susan carry her own table is probably not what we should be doing here. Anyway, I have no issue with it. Does any of the commissioners have a problem with? We got to put a safe in that building. It's going to be there for time immortal, but.
Is it just for his use? Everybody's use?
No, it's got to be his because he's going to take in evidence. Yeah.
I'm getting at is. Okay, are the other three constables, were they going to sleep as well?
They have some safe already. Yeah. Larry's got a safe and Justin's got one.
Yes.
I don't know, Cordell's using the one in the LEC and the armory closet back there. So, okay. Cool. All right, well, if no one has a problem with that, I'm going to take that and change it to 2,000 as recommended.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. It's gonna be the 2274 3603 line item. You know, so we haven't done this in years, but as we go through this, I'm putting this information in right here on site in the gravity because it'll make my life easier later. Now, I need to ask real quick, Susan, is there any prohibition on me entering anything into gravity this morning? Because I have a ability to enter things in an inopportune time. No, it's not HR. Okay, all right, good deal. So, all right. Gentlemen, anything further on Constable Miller? Nothing? Going once, going twice, we can come back to you if something else comes up. Thank you, appreciate you, Constable.
You want to remain in the absence of the other three constables?
You're welcome to. So one of the things I need to talk about is, and I had a conversation about 7 o'clock with Mr. Gersh about this. A couple of years ago, we replaced most of the body cameras and vehicle cameras for the other commissioners. Mr. Gersh tells me his camera is on the fritz and he needs to upgrade it. He's reached out to 2 different companies so far, one being WatchGuard and Axion. And he said that he's having difficulty getting WatchGuard to reply to him and giving a bid. And that he prefers Axion. I think Axion is what the sheriff department uses. And so he's looking to get a bid for this. He does not have paperwork, but last year we paid about $9,500 for these things. So we have not previously taken care of him on this subject. Guys, that's a lot of money, but at the same time, our policy historically has been is that when it comes to safety for officers, we spend because it's just too important. Not only does that camera protect the individual, it protects him, it protects the county. So I'm going to recommend on Gersh that we put something in capital outlay to reflect that we need to replace this camera for body and.
Did you share with you what the actual proposal
No, he said he didn't have it yet. He's waiting on it. That's what he said this morning. Because he told me last week about it. He said they have not sent him the actual proposal numbers yet, but he hopes to have it by this afternoon. He said as soon as he got the data. Sheet. So I don't have an actual number for that yet, but it is something I recommend you guys for that we probably need to do that.
What's the proposed salary for the?
We're going up $4,000 on each JP and each constable. Remember, they asked for considerable more than that. And so that's going to take. All right, gentlemen, you have in front of you a document, this document. This is so that you can see every salary that we have. So it's the auditor's office has done, I can't tell you how much great work this time and how hard work should work. But this gives you a breakdown by department, one department page. So it's going to show what we're doing in, let's say, for example, Constable Miller. His starting base salary was 53,856, which is a considerable jump over last year, 4,000, and then base salary after is 56,556. Then breaks down your Social Security, your Medicare, his longevity pay, and then total benefits package, and then the grand total is the very last number. Because often we get caught up in what is salary, and we have to realize that there's another 30% on top of that. You need one?
I had to make it extra.
Well, here you go. I'll get the next one.
So this.
Oh, are they long?
His current salary is 50,053.
Correct.
We had to force the base salary
Correct.
to make it come out to be 5% increase plus 4,000.
Yes, ma'am.
So his is a little crazy, but that last number on salary,
Can you make room for Susan to sit at this table?
that's fine. I'm good with this.
You sure?
She salary after is 56.
Correct.
That's the correct number.
Yes, ma'am. But that base salary represents the 4,000 and the 5%.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah.
56, 5, 8, 5, 56.
56,556. That'll be the salary.
Okay.
And that's after a $4,000 increase in the 5%.
Y'all have.
Yeah, there should be one in everybody's, but forgive me, I didn't go through the administrative stuff this morning. Let's talk about a couple of things. Number one of the chillers is down at the moment. Wyatt's been called, Mr. Wyatt is coming over to do what he can. We've been nursing a pump along for a week. We knew the problem last week. Mr. Wyatt's been trying to get parts for us. He's doing everything he can in this power, but in these supply chain issues, parts aren't always easy. So we're operating on the small chiller, the big one is down. Mr. Wyatt's track record of getting our chillers back to life is excellent and a 100% rating. So he will have it up as soon as he can. But when we came in at 6 o'clock this morning, both chillers were offline. The alarm system, we need to go to notifications. We were not notified in the middle of the night like we normally are when we have a fail. So we're going to call into McKinstry's people why we weren't why that system did not notify one of us. Usually we get emails about failures or we get an alarm or alert. That didn't happen, so there's something going on there. Anyway, obviously I have been off most of the night simply because the heat load in this building is so high. So we're working on getting that fixed. Just gonna have to bear with us the rest of the day. The other things you have in front of you is your typical binder book. It doesn't have the wealth of information it typically does, namely because a lot of that information is in the computer now on the Gravity budgeting system, which is what we adopted for this fiscal year. You have a copy of the proposed budget, which we proposed on the last working day of July, which is what timeline says we should do. That's been posted on our website, and you gentlemen have a copy of that in your binders. You should have a copy of that in your binder. Then as we go through this, if there's any missing documentation in this binder, it's online. You can print it off for you. You can get your paper copies of it if you want it. The other parties, things you have in front of you, you have the salary basis. And right now there's a couple of emails that came out over the weekend, the 586 form, the 5586, which is the notice that the tax assessor collector must give us. We've got that signed form. It's being printed and collated now. Plus some other budget worksheets that we think are necessary for you guys to see. So we're going to move this with all that. So back to Mr. Gersh's salary, and we're on Gersh's. Again, same thing there. After we 4,000 and 5%, that puts their base salary at 56,556. You're going to see that number a total of 8 times. All 4 JPs and all 4 constables will go to that number.
That's 16,000 for the JP. 16,000 for our constable. For a total of 32,000 on top of the 5%.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are correct. And then, extrapolate that out. I want everybody to be aware 56,556 is not where it ends. Once we play Social Security, Medicare, retirement life, workers' comp, medical, dental, basic life, longevity, that total comes to 78,490 for Mr. Gersh. So it'll vary between employee depending on longevity. Okay. Questions about Mr. Gersh's? Again, Mr. Gersh needs he's going to need a camera. I don't have a number for you yet, but what we paid for those things last year, I believe, was in the 9,500 range, and that's the body camera and the car camera. So, questions about Mr. Gersh?
These cameras can't be refurbished.
I don't know enough to tell you yes or no. I don't-
Not compatible with anything we're using, so it would not be just. I mean, perfectly, I think it makes it easier for them and prosecution, if they're not having to work with multiple courts. Getting on the same platform as the sheriff department is a huge advantage.
We go through cameras, not because we're rough with them, not because we treat them poorly, it's technology. Yeah, it's technology. We go, it has a lifespan, unfortunately, and after. It's obsolete. And one of the things we found out the hard way years ago is we had a system that had proprietary driver. So like, video on computers, a JP or MPEG file, whatever. We had one system a couple years back, I don't remember which one it was, that had a proprietary system that you had to have. So you downloaded the video and sent it to the DA. Well, he's got to pay to have that system in his computer, which I thought, well, that's highway robbery is what that is. So we make sure going forward now that any system that we have that's compatible with something we already have, or it's a open source kind of software, whereby we don't have to pay extra money to have licenses to put this proprietary stuff on people's computers.
Just a quick question, right? We're sheriff's not here to answer this, maybe y'all can. Do we have backup cameras? So if one camera goes down, is that officer just without a camera?
This is just too expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Yeah, we don't
You're
know.
looking about what it takes.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, to my knowledge, we don't have any backup. There may be one floating around that I'm unaware of at the sheriff's office, and they did get a payment on that grant from the AG's office today for the body cameras. So they may have one, or they may have an older one as a backup. I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, it would be good to have one hanging around for sure.
They got the sheriff.
Yeah, well, just kind of a, I don't call it a loner, but yeah, just a backup. So that's Constable Whitney. Any other questions about Constable Whitney? Let's go to Constable Malone, if that's the case. Recall Constable Malone actually has 2 employees underneath it. It is first the secretary that services all 4 of the constables, keeping their paperwork right. And then second is the deputy constable who I saw him pull somebody over in a Aquila the other day. And I asked him, I was like, well, I didn't know you guys were pulling folks over. He said, Judge, she was doing 105. Said, good job. Thank you very much. Doing 105 and 933 is a death sentence. It is what it is. So anyway, these guys are out and about doing their jobs. As far as I know, in my conversations with Constable Armstrong today, he is satisfied with what we've got going on. Just going to give you an update on that office. They have, they're in the process of moving out of the Franklin Street annex over to 218 North Waco. We found an area where we can work for them, but we got to do a little painting in there, touch it up just a hair. It's no big deal, but it's just, put somebody in something that's ugly and nasty. And that's temporary until such time that they get moved over to the final destination. So. Doing all the talk. Any questions? Okay. Well, if you have questions about any of this, come back to which they can, but it's that's not the issue. The issue is just accessibility. So what we're looking at doing right now is putting them. You go into 218 North Waco. If you go, to the right through the hallway, past IT, past the constables, and it wraps back around. It's what used to be the bookend when that was the jail, that area. That's what we're looking at right now. That's what everybody was happy with. And I said, that's good with me if everybody's good with it. So yeah, we're good to go. But no, there was no, it was a comfort level of going in and out the back. Nobody said, hey, don't do that. That wasn't the case. It's simply a matter of, this is easier access for everybody. So it was preferred way. And I said, that's fine. If that's what everybody wants, I'm good with it.
We have one hard line, I think, the constable office. It's the 2 versions. We need to move to have.
I guess we are.
Line.
We are too. Which one is that?
I don't know, telephone, yes, we do have one number.
Oh,
When we establish that office, the version new online.
you corrected that pot line. So let's look at this. I'm in telephone at, I think we adjusted for that because what we had, say that, let me see.
I'm not talking about the budget, some.
So I've got that 3104 line for JP3 is 2250, which was 2,000 last year. Let me go back to Constable Whitney and open this one up. Okay.
Can Clark work on that?
Oh, boy. That's just this computer some days. So in Whitney, we've got 1,000 budgeted for it. I don't have any details on that other than that. No, it's mobility. So we have the AT&T mobility vendor that 2026, which is recurring. We've got that vendor 1,000. And then in the 3104 line for JP3, which is 2273, 3104. We just got telephone. We don't have that broken down by what it is. So yes, ma'am, if there's a bill that's going for a POTS line, it probably ought to move into that 2273 line, 3104.
It's in 2271. It would always in.
Okay. Well, I don't know that we budgeted for it this year. We either got to do that or move it to.
I think we did. I'm not talking about that. You said you're moving some people to 218.
Yes, ma'am.
We need to move them. That's fine. That's really what I'm talking about.
Okay, forgive me.
Like mine.
I need to ask if we're using it because we have a void. And I don't know the answer to that question on the top of my head. Are we using it? We're still using the POTS line, then yeah, definitely. But as for
X lines or.
correct. I don't know what they have and don't have at this moment. Let's make a note and we'll look into that, get you an answer by the end of the day. So okay.
It is possible to be beneficial to a point. But then we got to plug it into the network.
Well, my understanding is they have over voice over IP phones right now. But like there's offices that have VoIP, but you also still have a POTS line. Matter of fact, most offices still have a single POTS line, but you have multiple different phones. And we got rid of those duplicate, like, I used to have 3 POTS lines in my office. We cut that down to 1 and everything with voice over IP. The deal for it is the internet goes down, we still have to do an actual phone. That's all there is to it. And one phone line is better than no phone lines. But we've kept them over the years. And then the same thing, those are on the fax lines. We had the fax where we stuck, for whatever reason, it was a decision we made, stuck the POTS on the fax lines. But I need to know what they've got and what they're currently using, because if they're not using it and it's not necessary, I agree, let's let it go. But if they are currently using it, it's a necessary part of their everyday business, and I need to call AT&T and get that flipped over to 218. Thank you for bringing that up, Susan. We can take it as long as y'all want to today. I just don't want to rush anybody. Me and Susan have seen this time and time again. We spent weeks looting the county clerk's budget so we give it to other people. She's paying attention. All right. Well, if no one's got questions, again, we have today and tomorrow. Anything you hear today, come up with a question overnight, bring it up tomorrow. Well, we'll be happy to talk about it or figure out or get the information regarding it. So that's JP3. Now we are way ahead of schedule at this point. So JP4 is not in the building yet. Yeah, I know. So let's kind of talk about Tom Hemrick. So he's here. Victim number 3 is Tom. So I'm going to go down to county judge, open budget and operations, account classifications. We're going to go down. He does. Look, okay, you got to look under mine, and you don't have a lot of written budgets on mine because, well, I put it into the computer. And again, I can print all this for you, but it's on your proposed budget. That's there. It's just, there's not a budget request sheet in there at this point that I'm aware of. All right, that's facilities and maintenance. Good, let's keep going down. Elections administration, which is later. Why am I missing something here? Emergency management, there it is. So let's talk about emergency management. You'll find that in your proposed budget. If I could just make this work right. We went down on dues and memberships. Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm going to pass Well, I'm working a different one, so he's gonna be right after the sheriff. No, you gotta go way. No, well, all right, so how to print personnel story, two different things. We tried to print it in the format that was somewhat similar to what we used to do, but the way the program is set up, it's actually housed under different timelines. So page 57? Yeah. Okay, so dues and memberships, again, this year going into the process with the, 57, 57. Okay, so anyway, everybody good to go? Okay. This thing is. Okay, I forgot about that. There's some interesting quirks in this software that sometimes I forget about. It's my fault. Using up and down arrow inside of a cell causes the number to change, and you don't want to do that. So as we went through this time, we didn't just take a number. Hey, this is what you paid for dues and memberships last year. This is what you get this year. We actually tried to go in and say, all right, this is where this money went last year. So when you open up the details in these lines, we're trying to put information in this. It's what's going to be reoccurring. It's not just dues and memberships. It's okay, well, what dues, what memberships, what associations? So we've reduced to reflect those actual costs, reduced dues and memberships from 1,000 to 750 in that line. Training mileage and reimbursement, again, it went down to 2,500. That was your request to do so. Then bonds and insurance is another one of those that you see an odd number in there, 1471. That lines out that we have the TAC auto liability and the TAC law enforcement liability for the drone. And those are the two insurances we're paying out of there. Then contract services is adopted at 3,500. For some reason, it's down to 2,000. You've got that down with the people need what you had in previous years. We have supplies. We've stepped that at 6,000. Telephone, again, you've kind of this odd number of 2,980. We have quite a few different phone lines and systems we're responsible for in there. Give you a breakdown of that. There's the Nighthawk, and then there's which the EMC and the van Nighthawk, and then there's the Verizon phone that we've got. What's not in here though is the landline we have. We need to adjust that to the landline because he has a 2023 number. Yeah. Is that void or is that landline? It's void. Okay, never mind. Sorry, I misunderstood. Repairs, we've adjusted repairs up by $7,000. The reason for that is, look, we've got all this equipment out in the tower. We're paying for the repairs in the radio tower. A lot of it's out of this budget, and we need to put some more money in it. It's just every time a lightning strike hits that, somebody's got to climb and put a light on it. We have a contract with all people because Tom said after last year he's not climbing the tower anymore. So. No. I think so as well. I think Tom can do it if he wanted to, but again, I have a very, what I consider rational fear of heights, and I believe Tom cares in that rational fear of heights. I just don't like those things. So.
If it needs inspecting, I've got two.
Yeah, one drone. That drone business has been great lately.
It's quite a bit.
Yeah. And if it's not him, it's Chris Jackson who's flying the other drone. We're using it on fire. She's using it to find people, run from. She's using it to find people that wander off, using it to inspect things, aka the tower. It has been a wonderful tool. And that new auto drone, we've got the versatility of it. It's a fraction of the size of the old ones. It's got longer flying time, better cameras on it. It has been a real asset. Okay, going back on, let's talk about fuel. We've got 7,000 in that budget, and we went to 7,500 this year. But let's talk about it's not a single vehicle, and I don't think that's enough. I'll be frank with you. I know it's your request, but he's got his vehicle, the van, which is a communications van, response van, and then the boat, and then the generator, and then the UTV. Again, not all of those get deployed on a weekly basis, but they're all there and have to be run and maintained. He's inside of his budget for the year, far and away inside of his budget. So that's the reason we left that number at 7,500. But as we get closer, we're on track to adopt this budget separate to September 13th, and we get closer to that, I want to look at everybody's fuel line again. I know the price of fuel has come down a couple of cents in the last week or two. I don't know that it's going to stay there, and I'm not going to say, hey, that's going to solve us any problem in next year's budget, but that's something that we really haggled over is how do we budget for fuel? And based on historical use and then setting certain price points per gallon, which I don't know if those are currently enough. This is where we come to some of these numbers.
One of the things we've done, we kind of slow down some of our. We had so many fires and stuff here the last month. My fuel budget for this month, I'll be double being in month in past, so just one of the things you can't control. I still think we will on the side.
I think so too. Your fuel budget will be inside of, you've managed it good. It's just, my concern is enough for next year, you know, and I know we're not gonna bust, it doesn't look like we're on track at the moment to bust 7,000. And we went up $500 in that line. So we're trying to be respectful of taxpayers' money, but at the same time, if you can't put fuel in the car, you can't respond to the emergencies we're paid to respond to. So it's a balancing.
Add another 1,000.
1,000 here and 1,000 there pretty quick, you know.
That's something you have to think of doing.
500, you know, that's unfortunately not even funny, you're right. Do we put it at 8? I mean, I don't know what to do there.
We've used in the past 2 years from that number.
That's the reason I put it at 75. It's
This
just,
is gallons. You know, figured the $5 a gallon. $4.
the good news is we don't have diesel equipment in, you know, the emergency management. It's all gas, which has been $1 a gallon cheaper than diesel.
The generator space.
Forgive me, I forgot about the diesel generator, the light plant and the generator. Yes. Okay. But again, those are used when you need them, but that ain't often.
Seasonal.
Yeah, well, I don't know, yeah, that's a season. Let's leave it at 7,500 right now, guys, and if we need to come back to it, I'm open to that. We'll just kind of see what happens towards the end of this month. If we got to come back and look at fuel, I think that's something we need to pay attention to, but otherwise, everything else pretty much stays the same. Again, the whole budget is predicated upon 5% cost of living adjustment. Last I heard, capital interest, inflation was over 9%. Mark, consumer price index for last month. We can't go there, but we definitely can handle this 5% total that we've got built in. Also, we have covered the cost of insurance, the increase in insurance we've been able to use this budget without passing it along to the employee. Questions for Mr. Hemmer? Mr. Hemmer, questions for us? Good to go. Mr. Cordell, what you got this morning?
Well, I had a couple of division hearings this morning, so put me late.
No worries. We're ahead of schedule, so you're good. You're on time.
So I guess you already reached my part.
Nope, we can wait on you. I mean, you weren't supposed to be here until 10 a.m. and so you're early by 30 minutes. But since you are here, any questions, concerns, commentary on the budget?
I saw where.
So let's go to Constable Itasca. And Constable Itasca, again, 5% COLA plus the addition of $4,000, trying to get, over the next couple of years, we're going to try to get their pay up. I think it's something we need to do. We have the best group of constables, no offense to anybody, but these constables work together better than we ever had. They're doing humans work as we grow, their work grows, they have more and more papers, and even the JPs. The JPs are the busiest courts we have in Hill County, because most everything touches those JP courts. It's all there is to it, and they're buzzing. And the reason you're going to see that their fees are down though is because they're not getting tickets from DPS. Not because DPS isn't writing tickets, but DPS isn't here to write tickets. The governor has them on Operation Lone Star cycling down the border. So the 9 first troopers we usually have in the county, it's rare to have more than 2 at a time. So if that's not a reflection of the JPs not doing work, they still got a lot of work. If you can attest to how many papers are coming through. So we're trying to get those out. It's nuts.
No, I know, I appreciate the increase, and I know that, you know, there's only so much money to be had for everyone. I think we're making a step in a good direction. Like the judge said, I think we really progressed in all of our constables' offices and brought things up from where they used to be. My point.
We're making progress.
You know, the good thing is we've got the computer system up where it's actually gives us good case management. Took me a long time to clear up from our officials, but I've got all that cleaned up now, so I can actually run the reports and tell you exactly what I said we did and give it time on paper. So, you know, the raise was great. Appreciate that. And I feel that, you know, good things are coming, hopefully to your county, with maybe the increases y'all want to get across the board to everybody, hopefully get.
We're gonna try to do something else. I want to try to solve the payroll issue amongst the board commissioners during this budget, because that's before September 13th. However, as of Friday, we're going to have some additional funds that are not budgeted in this budget. It looks like that anyway. I think those numbers hold at this point. I think they've been looked over a few times, which should be good. That additional funds, a large portion of it, we need to set aside for a payroll contingency. Because the problem we had the last time we tried this to do the payroll, we brought in some money, we figured out a system, and then how do you fund it? We didn't have the money to fund it. So it didn't work the way we want to. By putting a considerable sum of money aside for the payroll contingency, we'll finally have the money to fund this thing and try to make it equitable and kick it off from the starting point where we're good. Again, that's your guys' decision to make at the end of the day. That's just my recommendation. And I think the auditor will agree with me that that is something that we need to consider at least. But our payroll is all over the board. And if we can't find some unity in it, we're going to start losing employees to the people that are paying way more than we are. Traditionally, the county has kept people because we have a better benefits package. That's not really the case anymore. Our benefits look like most everybody else, with the exception of retirement, due to the Affordable Care Act. It just, you know, insurance is what it is. If you're going to have people like Buckley's coming in here in spring of 25, or maybe sooner than soon, and they're going to pay $16 an hour starting, guys, we got plenty of county clerks that don't make that kind of money. Oh, this morning? Last week, okay.
And you know, we have a large company here that is going to be closing the doors. Starting the warehouse system.
So I hear, but I haven't had the authority to speak about that, so. If you want to, you're welcome to.
No, I don't want to speak too much about it because I was reached out to because they were really law enforcement to be present. Because it's going to be such a major. Yeah. So.
I don't have a timeline on this. I didn't know they were starting this morning. Tell me what you know.
Well, that's really it. I was reached out.
Might as well name the name, might as well name the name for everybody.
Well, it's okay. They're having a major layoff. I don't know if that means closing the door, but it's doing a major layoff. But they had reached out, a private source that provides law enforcement security. And they're on 24-hour, 7-day coverage for some time till they get through this process. Okay. But like I said, I don't know if that means we're closing the door. Or if we just,
I have not heard that. I've heard it's an adjustment for economic reasons, but I don't know.
So hopefully not. But you know, it's never a good time for anybody to lose their job. I mean, where we're at today with the cost of driving to Walmart yesterday. Bought groceries that I had been to in the Walmart.
Get your
Didn't
attention.
realize that a shake turkey was $7.69 for a little package. So you know it's very costly. But I was going to ask you, you know, on the fuel because they are getting about the fuel costs going back up.
Good
But
bit.
then it's, you know, trying to do the best to conserve our fuel. I'm concerned even with what we have budgeted.
So where we've got right now is your 4,500. Your year to date as of 5/31, which is several months back, was 27.97. On your current rate of burn, we expect you to be under the 6,500 mark. We have the ability to do something else as well, and that is to put in a contingency line item for fuel. Susan brought that up. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's something worth consideration. We've got particular departments that are going over on fuel that we can reach out without having to budget $1,000 in each one, and suddenly it's up to $20,000. We can put that amount in one place and then shoot it where we need to across the board if we can't manage to make it within the budgets we put together. But yeah, we put an additional $2,000 in fuel.
Yeah, because as the budget out there, you have to cut some line items out. They
Correct.
moved them over to fuel to try to keep it in the same area. Then I know you cut some more things.
Yeah, had to. So again, I understand it didn't offset the fuel increase that was requested, but it did help with that for sure. It's right now, other than the fuel items, are there other issues when the budget is presented that you need us to look back at? We got a little wiggle room we didn't have 2 weeks ago.
Well, I don't know our timeline. Where we're gonna move the building, once you get that.
Summer next year.
So I'm only going to purchase the same, and that's why I kept. The one line.
So one of the things we have for Covington as part of that turnkey is the FF&E, which is the furniture and fixtures. And we anticipated that there's going to need to be 2 safes, one for the constable's office over there. And then everybody else has got their own safe after this. Miller's buying his, because we budgeted for it this year, he's putting it out there. Then you've got Justin's got one, Larry's got one, and you're using the armory safe at the old LAC, which you'll have to have a safe over there. So everybody's going to have one at that point. So what I'm getting at is the FF&E, the furniture fixtures that we've already paid ahead of time for over there. That was included in a safe for tax office and a safe for the constable's office. At that time, thinking you guys would share them. Doesn't seem that's going to be necessary, and I understand now why the requirements are you can't share it, because if you take something, you have to have sole control and possession of it.
Evidence.
Yeah, completely understand that now, didn't catch that then. But the other thing is the tax office told me, well, we got one safe, that's good, we don't need a second. So there's money for 2 safes in that FF&E as we laid it out, so it's already been paid for. So we'll get with you when we start moving that.
When the tax office safe is, if we can do something there, if they don't need it, then that is plenty
Yeah,
good for my office.
okay, cool, that'll be big enough, that's a big
Yes,
section. And we, whatever that 64 gun, I think is how they rated it or something, 72 gun. It's
yeah, and I don't.
It's a big
Plans the budget.
We're good. We've got money in the FF&E for the Covington Street facility as part of that, so we're going to take care of a single safe for the constable, so that'll cover you, and then another safe or a secondary safe for the tax office, which they already have one. And my understanding, they don't believe they're going to need the additional one, so that savings can be put either towards something else. Yeah, but I wouldn't call that a vault. I know it says vault on the plans. That's not like a concrete box. It's reinforced, but it ain't. It's not what I would think. I know it's what it's. But they want to put that safe inside of that hardened room.
And, I don't know. If in the plans of the building, is there gonna be a commercial shredder for the facility for everyone to have access to?
We haven't had conversations, but that's something we can definitely talk about for sure.
Because a diesel shredder is not cheap.
No, we
And
didn't.
I have a lot of documents at times that I need to dispose.
Well, that's something we definitely have a conversation about. One of the things we are having down here is the postage machine. We just haven't talked about a shredder today, but that's something that's necessary. Obviously, it's something we need to talk about.
Because, that one was purchased. That's down at the. Support service.
That's a,
Well, I'm not actually. Stops up every time. It's big.
yeah, but well, I don't know that. We got some options we can definitely explore on that. The question on that would be, where do we put a shredder if we got it? Again, it's not gonna be the size of that monster down there. If that was needed for large volumes design. Yeah, we have a room that we're gonna put the postage machine in, maybe a shredder like the one Susan's got, maybe not. We'll see.
Well, I had those.
I need to get with the tax office, see what their need is for a shredder on site on a daily basis. If they
If it was in there, I mean, if we just have access to one, there, going down there, but.
you'll have access to it.
Box, and I put a lot of papers in the shred and access to. I never want to have access to.
Well, you were told to come to me and you'd get that combination, but you haven't showed up yet. So we'll have a conversation after court today and you'll have access to it.
Okay.
Good. So anyway, what else we got? Guys, anything from the constables? Kevin, I want to say you're here representing the constables. I want to thank you guys for all the great work you're doing, making us proud. You're out and about, people will be seen. I don't have calls anymore about when you're going to get rid of those constables. I had calls about, hey, what a great job the constables are doing. I see you guys out. Appreciate you guys doing what you are. It just helps everybody.
And thank you, it's to add, as I'm actually fixing to take my vehicle, I have an appointment this morning to drop my truck off, and get it outfitted. Because I have all the equipment,
They finally have it.
I have all the equipment. Yeah. Well, except the docking station, I'm gonna rock for one vehicle until the one comes in November, but
That's what the date is November now. Oh, my goodness.
backwards. to November.
Well,
The end of
it's
November also. So,
Merry Christmas.
yeah. But again, you know, thanks for, you know, I think that was a big step in the right direction.
We've got ways to go yet.
They didn't make the decision. And say everybody's.
Good deal. All right, guys, any questions for Constable Cordell? Constable Cordell, any further questions for us?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming in the new town state. Be safe out there.
We'll run my vehicle. We'll get it done.
All right, good deal.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, before we move to the next one, let's pass a few things out. These are the tax rate calculation worksheets that were given to me over the week, or Friday, I should say, Friday afternoon, Friday. And this is known as, yeah, Susan, no, Susan, well, did I print one? Yes, I did. I print one, which isn't good. There's the tax rate calculation worksheet. I'm going to send the second thing around. This is the well, there's two, there's one of each, yeah, so do you have it already?
All right.
Okay, good, well, I'll set that there as an extra then. The next is, that's Road and Bridge tax calculation worksheet. Next is a notice about tax rates. This is Form 5212. This is up on the website, I believe. 5212. 50-212, by the way. Next is the tax calculation worksheet for the general fund. M&O and INS for Hill County General Fund. And then we have a comparison that Susan put together for us from previous year's tax rates. I didn't print an extra on that one. Actually, apparently I did. And then we have a budget comparison from I'll get it out in a second. Recapitulation table that was again prepared and to show you the proposed revenue versus the adopted last year. And that's the documents I have for you to go over on top of what you got. Susan, do you want to go through these calculation worksheets, or they're not exactly self-explanatory sometimes?
Software.
Which was statewide, not just here. It was a point of contention on the judges list. So
On the, ones in Hill County.
yes, ma'am. At the top, taxing unit name at the top upper left-hand side. It's a Form 50-856, Hill County. Go ahead, Ms. Sloan.
I have some more numbers anyway. You start with some numbers from last year and those are all presented as of the last supplement. You know, the last adopted tax rate for general, which is 45, 0.42, 0202, I believe. That was no offense.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you go on to the second page. And again, we bring in some 2021 last year numbers all the way in. I guess for exemptions, market loss. That's line 10 and 11. They're adjusting for the market loss. And it covers down to the adjusted last year's levy with the exemptions that were in effect. Now, you know, we're finishing up the last year's levy. It's 10,835,830. And then we start with our certified values for 2022, start on line 15. And we get to factor in the rolling stock. We also have to factor in, which we haven't funded, but we have to fund the tax increment. I mean, where we set especially investment. That's the value of the property. Going forward to line 20, we were looking at the number from the tribal district, that's the freeze plus the transfers that are applicable to the general fund total taxable value. And the number that's it's on the tax rate schedule is line 26. The number for new revenue rate is 0.3636 for general, and that includes IMS. That's the general revenue rate. The 0.430030 that has in the new revenue rate for revenue rate, which is 0.066430. Now, I budgeted 0.063 253, so
That's approximately 3.4% change, or am I mistaken? Okay,
It's a lot of this increase to now when you buy something online, we get the tax money from it rather than.
no, most of this is the windows. My understanding is most of this is due to valuation increases in the county as a whole, but also as windows came online.
Evaluation, at this point, it's brought in the sales tax number. Yes, the line.
We're last on 30. No. We're back 26 backwards.
Okay, and then the goes forward on the voter approval rate. So this was prior year, rate. From 2021. That's into effect. It says 2021 taxes and the tax increment fund. Which is about how much we're going to fund it for this year. And pulls through, then it goes like line 34. Should we have had an increase in the jail expenses for the jail from this year versus last year? We didn't have an increase, mostly because last year we paid out so much overtime. So we didn't factor in an increase for the state criminal justice mandate. We had a slight increase in health care and line 36 calculations for individual payments. We had a slight increase. We don't have a hospital. Then it comes down on line A, 40A. That is the amount of sales tax we collected for the past 4 years. 3,532,300. So that offsets our tax rate. In the voter approval tax credit section. Bring that down. That. You end up with the hit rate is 0.016024. It has the voter approval rate is on line 49, that goes through the adjustment for it with the sales tax, so that you get the voter approval rate of 0.45903. That is including IMS, so line 58 is the voter approval rate. Well, that's an adjustment. For 3 years, if the county did not adopted under the voter approval rate, you're able to save those differences up to a 3-year period. So it continues on, where you say they call that endless increment. So that was where we, last year, I believe we approved the voter, the known revenue credits. So the difference between that and the voter approval rate is 1.23. We add that in, and then the prior year, 2020, that unused increment. Every now and then, we have 167. And have the voter approval, allowing adjusted for the unused. So that's the total. Number of.
58, correct, is 58 would be the total number, 2022 voter approval tax rate adjusted for sales tax would be that 0.459. Line 58,
No,
line 67, okay,
on 67.
Okay, now we're back on page. got it.
Well, I think
And then it has. We have to calculate three different rates, and then the voter approval rate, and then the minimum rate is the amount we can use to. Give the 90 revenue rate plus finance was $500,000. So the rate to get that this year is 0.382012. Anyway, it's lower than we think. That's not really increase for us. Anyway, the lateral road goes through the same calculation.
Bear with me, correct.
Yeah, it is. For the form, whatever, that's the. Our inputs,
Yes, your, for road and bridge, your voter approval rate. Tax worksheet, where you have the prior, you should see the prior year's rates. Your rate, the highest rate, the road and bridge can have is 20.69. On general, what line?
That's
67, yes. 0.491921 includes the road.
Does that include the
Yes, plus it's greater than 3%.
Are you on the Hill County one? Are you on the?
I go on line 67. That includes the, amounts we didn't increase over the next 2 years.
we can do that without having a vote. What do you say?
So we can go up there.
No,
Now, it's the top.
that's us, yeah, that's it.
That's it, 49. Correct.
But that's-
the total of the general fund in the road.
That's, yeah, that's a combination of two. At the current rate. What is it?
In the budget, we use 0.06323.
Yeah, we use the FM, that's what FM lateral, so,
The FM lateral one, in the last page. It's your problem with that operator or something. Okay.
so it's not pulling over something correctly yet?
The FM lateral, overall.
Yeah,
Hill County, Remington, and Michael, there's an error on the last page. That voter approval rate. The very last page of the road. Those figures, I will just. Through, we put the calculation into Excel and then number last page of the lateral road.
Still at 6, it was.
last year, well, what's that?
Last year, the road raised like.
0.0707. I tell you what, I'll get you.
0.0774.
0.07704. Yeah, I'm going to last year's rates now, just to tell you what we're at for historical purposes. I'm going off of what we published on our website. So, everybody- okay, which line was it? Okay, got that.
That it's on, for the worksheet, the last year's rate. Road and bridge was, or over.
Correct. Oh, yeah, I'm sure they'll do things that'll make this much easier for us. No offense. It's just, these calculations are incredibly,
This is great. I read it at a time or two. I still.
I'm going back and forth taking phone calls. Both of our children down at the moment. I'm trying to resolve this.
Right, I'm a easy if you look at, on page 8 of on page 8 of that Hill County sheet online, 68. That's what the revenue rate would be, 22 valuations. And then you would, the rate necessary to impose 500,000 tax, you just buy 500,000 of the taxable value, and then you would enter that rate. And then our debt rate is 6.160224, so. I mean, that's almost at this point. Yeah, but almost. But I don't know, we've had more problems with what we just keep on the rate. We went through the Excel worksheets. On that, I was trying to calculate for it, maybe how much additional money that you guys. So your point out, it's 9, 6. So your total tax with the variable rate is.
Children number one is back online, and hopefully we've got a game plan of getting number 2 online here in an hour or so. So
That gives you an additional, the road and bridge, additional 106,000. That's
total, yeah, no. So you're seeing total revenue. I don't have a revenue comparison of the years in for you on that one.
Just put that money through the last door. 3 weeks.
your general fund. It's almost $2 million. Directly nice.
So the general fund is 2 million.
That's the reason I questioned those numbers over the weekend, is you guys didn't sign, we don't negotiate with them lateral. So the new market value is going to be, should be much higher than the general would be. That's my concern, is that why that big jump? Obviously, we tax more in the general than we do. I'm not understanding this. Again, I didn't get this till Friday afternoon. I'm an expert on this. I'm not a mathematician. I do my best. I think Susan's on top of what she's talking about. But again, some of this stuff seems, I don't know, counterintuitive. But the numbers are numbers.
The reason the revenue bridge is much smaller, gone up every year, now on the tax to the highest you could, so you just have an annual fee for I don't know that the general fund would want to go that high. I mean, if you don't use the increment this year, it's still gonna be available to you next year.
This is true. I mean, we have a general fund of 0.420202 currently. And we're talking about right now going to what? 3. Susan, what's the rate that we were talking about here for the general?
Well, the revenue, right?
I don't think we can do that with inflation being where it's at, as much as I'd like to keep taxes as low as possible.
Right, and then the rate unused for the implemented 0.38.
So we're,
949.
so we take that 389,495, we're still dropping the overall tax rate by 4 cents in just the general. You're gonna be a little less than a penny drop with the maximum you can do on FM lateral. So if we take the unused increment, try to offset some of these inflationary costs we're seeing, that puts us in a decent enough position, but it also suppresses the tax rate by about 4.5 pennies overall per month.
We drop our tax rate, the school gonna drop their tax rate.
No,
No,
because we can't.
Or if it's a valuation.
But
I don't know about the school.
the only difference in school funding is they have a base that they cannot go below. I don't understand exactly how it's calculated, but if they go below it, their ADA money, average daily attendance money from the state drops. So they are forced to go at a certain rate. I don't know exactly how that calculation. No, we're below that. I didn't, again, Susan backed into some numbers without having these whole calculations, and that's predicated on a lower rate than actually we can take. Much lower. The highest rate we can possibly take before we get into election is still 4 pennies underneath what the current rate is. So.
And that's all the candidates are finding that valuations are up, so, you know.
wow.
The number of records, right, is how much taxes generates with the higher volume. It's the, you know, we're gonna generate the same amount of taxes last year, and we're dividing it by a larger number of larger taxable population.
So I'm really not a concern point, so is, okay, we go down to this year. And a lot of all that is the same. And it's gonna be next year.
Well, here's the deal. If we go over the rate at 3.38, I can't keep that number straight in my head, Susan, to see.
389,495.
Yeah, 389,495. We go over that, it's an automatic election.
That's what I was gonna go.
Yeah, forgive me. I
Stay
didn't-
in our current rate.
No, if we stay at our current rate, we're gonna get an election.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm-
so we're gonna spend 35,000, so we hold an election and we will lose it. And there's no reason to do that. So, I think that at that point, 38954, that we're still bringing in more income than we have in the past. And we still suppress the tax rate and we don't wind up with an election. And, it's a double quantity. If you hold that election and you lose that election, you go back to, this is the de minimis rate, I believe. I can't remember exactly on the statute. I have to read it. There's a penalty. Yeah.
My
There's
question
penalty.
was, if we stay within our current level and avoid an election.
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. Forgive me. We cannot stay at our current level and avoid election.
But we've got, Hill County's changing, but we got more people moving into our precincts are expecting more. Their evaluations are up and they're expecting more out of the roads and we're not gonna have it.
We're still pulling
Our
in.
budget is staying like it is.
And what do we do?
I don't know.
The legislature's tied our hands every year of an FM lateral. We have gone to the max. We have years that we didn't do it for the general fund. We didn't think we justified it. We have for FM lateral for years now. We've taken the max they allow, about 3.5%. Is what you allow by state law. How do you go on?
But we don't have the money to improve motor graders or trucks go in debt. If we go in debt, we hadn't got no money to improve the road well. I've been saying this for 7 years.
Yeah, as soon as you find a solution to it, let me know. That's the same problem we got.
A disaster,
We don't have a solution to this problem.
Floods?
States and puts on.
that's the only way I've done it.
At the expense of the rest of the county, and I've got the same problems there that you guys have got. I've got,
We've got, we're not rebuild, we've got this.
and I borrowed money to do that, and we paid for that. Back the courthouse actually came out of insurance, so we don't have a lot of money in that. We got these other construction projects. We're paying out the notes for this stuff to get it done.
Oh, that's all now. Our carriers.
No, because we had to borrow that 2.5 million, which we have a note on that. We got a service as well.
It came from, what was dark?
7.1, so it went into 1.3 million or so in the radio program, into Huron, into 505 North Waco for the warehouse, which was one of the first things we could buy with that money, and then into the improvements for Covington Street.
Ag extension.
Ag extension, and so we got AgriLife and Ag extension, we've got to pay for the rest of that.
So we've got.
That's at 2.5. The total is $9.6 million. I mean, that's between ARPA and what we borrow to get on this.
So we. What was our debt?
I don't know the exact.
This year on the Paddington works, I mean, we kept our payments. Right now, we have about 21 million dollars. They are included for God notes, and we'll pay them from 585.
So. $600,000 payment we had to make a year. What were we looking in reserves here?
Nothing this year. I mean, shouldn't, and break the budget's got a small surplus in it, but I can tell you that surplus hasn't been budgeted, but numbers we had not last Friday ago, that's already gone, because you find every time that things have been missed.
We're required 25% surplus. right?
Yes, sir, that's comptroller, our policy, the commissioners were adopted was 35%.
And our outside auditor came up with 41%.
2 years ago. So last year, I don't know what the exact number off the top of my head was. 40. Well, it was still in the 40s. Yeah,
That's what I know this year.
I don't either, because we've got a lot more expenditure against it. We haven't had the final this year. We'll get into, I guess, June of next year, actually.
But that's when the last one.
Oh, forgive me. Yes, yes, yes. We had about.
Here, the non-departmental, it's running, but I don't know.
I think the biggest pressures in this current year's budget are going to be unexpected costs of construction, and number two, the fuel lines, and there's some fuel lines that are over. Well, it happens. You can't, you just, nobody budget for $6 piece. Straight out, we didn't know that. That's not historical, so. We've got those issues.
Terms of same as letters that. We're gonna be asking more and more on road and bridges. That.
It's the same thing we're saying with the general fund, more and more every year.
We've got enough chipped asphalt, recycled asphalt and stockpiles that could repair a bunch of roads. But there also needs to be another distributor truck to help do that. You can put down all this chipped asphalt if you want. If you don't put something with it, you're gonna be back to blading and tearing it up in 2 years. And a new distributor truck's $262,000.
We share that one. I told Larry this, I've got to have it.
He's gotta have it back.
He's had it
He's
for
broke.
2.5 years. It's simply been sitting there. Four text messages. That'd be worth about it. I mean, I've got to have it. I've got to have it. I mean, I can't wait anymore. We're running out of time. We're running out of summer.
The temperature starts changing and asphalt changes.
Yeah.
Which chipped asphalt will be a different story, just put the whole.
If it was unlimited revenue, we solve all these problems, but that's just not the case, you know, we've taken on so much new work in my office, I need another secretary, I didn't ask for it, because I don't have money for it, I'm not putting myself to anybody else. This stinking, subdivision stuff is a full-time
Oh.
job now. And we're winding up doing all of those. We need an employee to tackle that. Streamline, didn't have that as budget. We have needs, but I've got to balance the needs of the many against the wants of the few. So we're just saddling that. Again, we're saddling the extra burdens. Every time these burdens come to the general fund, I have to saddle them and they wind up on my shoulders. And I don't have the additional revenue. We're finally getting the revenue this year, maybe settle out the payroll so that we don't have problems with everything. But I don't even know what that number looks like at the end of the day is the issue, because we have to all agree upon a payroll policy that everybody goes, okay, yes, we can bless this.
My question is if we're at 45%. And we're not drawing anything out of the reserve. Why are we continuing looking?
Well, we should be drawing something out this year. I just don't know what that final number is yet. So yeah, in the past we haven't because we anticipated doing budgeting reserves for capital projects. What we're currently got here on Covington, all those kinds of things. The way that ARPA funds fell in, okay, great, that's just unexpected, so that sped up the whole process and juggling a few things, so we didn't have to go into a reserve here in part of the meeting to. I don't know where we're gonna be at the end of this year. Are we gonna be below 40%? Possibly. Are we gonna be below 35? I just don't think it's gonna be that big of a problem. So, you know, our reserve for this last fiscal year, let me tell you what we budgeted to be at the end of the year. We're going too far, barely. So we budgeted to have 6.45 million 74 on a total budget of 22 million. So I'm going to the calculator. 22, 4, 2, 4, 2, 7, 3. Yep, that's it. Divided by 6. Oh, I did this backwards, forgive me.
We can decide on sales tax, you know. What to put on the sales tax for the recession. The last 4 quarters, it was 3.5. In this subject, we put it at 2.9. I mean, should we go up to 3.2? You know, it's hard to know.
I mean, you guys get a portion of that sales tax as well. We did a very conservative first guess in sales tax we took last year. You know, we've been hearing we're gonna go into recession, but your actual collection number today was what?
For the last 4 quarters.
Yeah. So we have room to go up on that possibly. We just were being very conservative with the initial numbers. As we get closer, we're still collecting way beyond what we thought we were. The comptroller's formula for that, for sales tax calculation is the last 4 quarters averages.
Texas not have a recession rate.
Historically, our economy is better insulated, no doubt, no doubt. And so if we need to go up on that number, I'm not opposed, but that's a decision we make together. Susan and I thought, well, we'll play it safe, throw the initial numbers out, and we can go from there. But yeah, a lot of things that they said were going to materialize have not materialized as of yet. Now, you know, what you guys heard this morning about local employer and things, folks, off that gives me pause for concern, because I don't have to do it yet as to why that is. Realignment. I just don't know the answers to it. I'm going to try to talk to some people at Hillsborough that might have a better, because I just heard that rumor over the weekend is all I heard. And then they've got a whole thing going on with this gentleman that's looking for the free trade zone. And they're, you know, that big gravel pad they built right on the interstate. That's all of that was basically to take in. I guess what their actual term for it is. They load trailers like you, haul them over that yard, dump them. This is guys' trucks come through. They throw off empty trailer, pick up loaded ones, and take off wherever in the United States these things too. And he's still blowing the gun. Matter of fact, they gave us a presentation last Wednesday at noon at the Hillsborough Electric Corporation. There's no plan to slow them down. They got a huge expansion in the works on that guy for transloading facilities. So I don't know what this layoff business is. Again, I don't have it from official sources. I just heard rumors over the weekend. So take that with a grain of salt. You can hear anything you want to the coffee shop. You stay around. Yes. I think it's going to. I mean, you guys took a, all right, what is it? If we take the voter approval rate up to the voter approval rate season on FM Lowry, as compared to last year, what is the total revenue increase in FM lateral from last year, our current year's rate to taking up to the voter approval rate in FM lateral? I don't have that one in front of me.
We have last year's budget.
Yes, I got it pulled up right in front of me.
And lateral, with the over approval rate, I see their tax levy at 2,575,336.
And total ad valorem gross and commissions last year was 2,280,892. So $2,280,892. That's gross and commission. Net,
Yeah, this is growth too.
okay, so net would have been $2,201,061.
It's 11% increase over last.
You guys got a huge bump.
We use some of the unused increment on general.
Let's run some numbers.
Raise their rate for, go from.
Possibility.
like
Let's run some numbers and see what it looks like. That may jeopardize funding the payroll change, but.
I really don't want to do that. I'm just asking.
No, I got you. We're not saying no, we just need to run numbers. I'm not saying no.
My main feel is, if we've got X in reserves.
Yeah,
I mean, for meeting the requirements that we said, there's no.
well, and so Susan, tell me if I'm wrong about the way I'm doing this math. I hate to be in public forum, tell you how bad I am at math. But let's figure out the general fund unbudgeted reserve right now. So this is just predicated upon last year, the current year's budget. We said we're gonna have total revenues, or I'm sorry, total resources of $2,424,773. We have an ending balance of $6,454,760. So for total resources, the ending balance is about 28% of total resources. But if you go back and you figure it just on expenditures, total expenditures were only $15,969,513. That comes to right at 40.04%, 40.4% of the ending balance. So, we've got a healthy reserve, you're right. And if we're not going to spend it on this, we either need to drop the tax rate or spend it on something else because we can't take money and just sit on it. My deal is I don't have enough information right now to tell you what that looks like at the end of this fiscal year. That's my concern. Again, I'm just being overly conservative and cautious. It's not trying to hold money back here. I just don't really know what the end of your budget looks like because of some of the pressures we have in this year's budget. I don't think there's any doom and gloom in it personally. I think that you've got a crowd of great elected officials that pay attention to their budgets. I think you've got some really great financial people that keep us informed of what we're doing. And will we end this current year with less than our $6,454,760? I don't think we do end it with less than that. Number one reason for that is even any pressures we have on the budget are going to be more than offset by the additional sales tax collections we had above our original estimate, which is, considerable, very considerable.
So the dollar value for that is $6 million. It's 40%.
Ending balance of $6,454,000, just shy, about 45,000 and change shy of $6.5 million.
I just think that something needs to be figured out as road and bridge.
So-
that we can increase that.
So let's say this, let's say we give you guys a one-time capital outlay for this year's budget. I'm gonna tell you historically, you guys have not been happy with me in the next year, your budgets go back down. So if I give you a one-time, there's a guarantee I can do it again next year.
Yeah, that's true too.
And so you'll have to live within your means next year. Can't give you more out of the general fund. I got a sheriff's office that we shortchanged on requests. I got a bunch of other offices I shortchanged on requests to get to these numbers where I thought that's what we had. Now it looks like we're gonna have better revenue projections than I thought. Man, am I glad to hear that. But again, I don't have final numbers, so I can tell you, I know exactly where this is going to be. September 30th. I just don't. But that's every year. We're always guessing at these things. So, you know, the deal is, if I make it one time, if we can find a way to do a one-time allocation out of the unreserved for you guys. Is everybody gonna vote on the record to say, we're very clear, this may not happen ever again? Or you're gonna hit the next year and go, I need another 1% of the general fund, 2% of the general fund. And at what point does that end? It's just all questions I've got in my mind.
Yeah, everybody wants their roads fixed and they can't have it.
That's it. And everybody wants a sheriff to show up.
If it wasn't for Montgomery getting this FEMA stuff this year, he'd be.
You actually get the best position of all.
I hate to ask for a 23-inch rain, but
Please don't, not till I get mine. Not till I get
Well,
my study road at that time.
they have to pay for repair.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
have to do a better guess and see what.
Okay.
More.
Okay, we'll do that. It's she's wrong, it's 100 and change. And Susan's got that. Andy's got an additional 100,000 change coming from TDM for the 4245.
Do I need to, what do I need to be doing? I'm trying to figure out what to do on. We can talk about it now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Mr. Cook is here. If we can move on to Mr. Cook real quick. April, have you had an opportunity to look at the budget? Okay, so let's go over to O&M. We're going to go down to. There, then we're going to go to this one here. Ms. Cook, how are you doing today?
Okay, how about yourself?
Yeah, we're making it at the moment. We're making it. You know, that's not where I thought it was. It's over here. Where it's at. Assistance, tourism, veteran service.
Look at that, right?
73.
We're gonna have to get us, we could all do it, maybe this time.
I believe it. I believe it.
70.
No, we've talked about it. That's what we need to do. I didn't even budget to replace that chair. That's all. I'm serious. When we turned this in, I thought it was going to be scammed. I just, when, you know, a week ago, Friday. That's disgusting and I didn't know that. Yes. Yeah, okay, that we can handle with that. That's terrible. That's terrible.
We got some white out. We can take it out of engine healthcare and move it over.
Man, if you guys knew how much money gets transferred out to balance the rest of this thing, you'd be ashamed. Anyway, so go ahead. What do you got, Miss April?
I mean, I am actually asking for a little over what y'all were projecting for raises based off of taking over the burial and helping with elections and just.
So here's the deal.
Done.
You guys know that I don't go into my own employees and put raises up. People want to answer to me because it looks bad. So I come in here and ask for it. I always put it to vote. But let me tell you the different job duties Mrs. Cook is taking over all from above in healthcare. Number one, Indian healthcare coordinator. Our expenditures, the way she runs the program, are some of the lowest expenditures we've had in that fund in years. Number two, she has taken over indigent burial. You recall earlier this year, I had you gentlemen review our indigent burial policy. Ms. Cook played a very strong hand in that and is now taking that over and attempting to help us get our indigent autopsy and transport line under control because of the expenditures in that. Number three, Ms. Cook not only serves in those functions, but on top of that, Ms. Cook has also been the go-to person in elections. So during this new thing where we're doing early vote in 3 locations, Ms. Cook has run the Hubbard location for us the last 2 times. So I would recommend that Ms. Cook be giving a pay raise. Again, I don't put pay raises for my employees in the budget over and above anybody else. It just looks bad. People have ill will, and I don't want that. So I have to come before you gentlemen as part of my policy and ask for it. I'm not asking for something additional for nothing new. I'm just telling you she's doing an incredible job of new, and I need to ask you guys to take that into consideration as we move forward.
They should, I think, the boxes and bodies. Pick up the garage.
I've actually already ordered a shelf and got it in there if I need to take them off.
Oh,
Other than that, the longevity, I think that's just what it's actually supposed to be for this next year. The only thing that I actually asked for another increase on was the dues and membership, and that's only because I think there's actually going to be an increase from them.
Okay. That's understandable. So what,
And then I actually went slightly down on the machine and equipment rental. As far as I can tell, the only thing that's actually under that line is gonna be my Xerox, and when I added it up for the entire year, it's a little under $900. So I figure 1,000 should cover it instead of it being at, the 1,400 that it previously was.
so all right, so let's go down this. So 23, I'm sorry, training mileage reimbursement, you're good with that request of
Yes, sir.
1,500? That's sufficient?
Mhm.
Okay, and what all training are you doing this year out of curiosity?
I've got my actual state conferences in October, and then we've got my software conference, which is actually the better one. It's just a few days later at the very beginning of November. That's the more expensive one, actually.
The 1,500 will
Oh,
cover
yeah,
the
definitely.
travel, it'll cover the hotel, it'll cover the conference
Yes.
costs. Okay, as long as you're making sure there's not money wasted on education here. So you're right, we've done contract services, we left it at 13,000. Again, that number, we have not expended the totality of it yet, but we're getting close year to date.
Right.
Then inmate medical, we bumped that up to 425. Let me just lay another thing that Mrs. Cook has had to do on you guys that you may not be aware of. She is taking a direct role in renegotiating the inmate medical. We have a meeting.
He is supposed to be meeting with John. I haven't ever actually been told when that meeting is between Tim and John. I thought it was supposed to be last week, but I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything yet.
So
And
I
so
will be
let's
contacting them today to find out.
let's interject ourselves in that
Yes.
once again. So she's taken over, giving us some oversight on the inmate medical. It was modified a couple of years ago, and that modification has not worked out the way that people have modified, hoped it would. So we're taking the lead in that as well. So we went ahead and bumped it up 25,000 because preliminary numbers on a new contract was 423. I hope it's going to come in under that because that's a huge increase. But right now, preliminarily, this is what the numbers I have in front of me. Indigent medical, again, we've got a low number in there because we're not expending that much. And it's considerably, it's double what we anticipated spending this year, the next year's budget number. Then supplies have stayed the same at 1,200, postage is the same at 800. Is that going to be sufficient?
I think so, yeah, because I've still got plenty of postage in there from the last one I buy off, and I've only ever purchased it once since I got in office.
I got you. And then we have machine equipment and rental at $998, which again, remember those odd numbers previously was 1,400. Their machine equipment and rental line item consists of the Xerox at $70.70 a month, or $848 a year, and an overage estimate of 10%. Basically, we're 150 we're putting in there. It still brings the overall number down. We don't know what to anticipate for increases going forward, so we're leaving a little bit of buffer in there, but not near as much as we used to have. It's about 500 and some odd dollars less than previous years. We have telephone, we've got an amount of 300 in there. We've had 850 traditionally, and we brought that down to 300 because year to date, we're not going to get 300. It doesn't look like. We feel pretty comfortable. That number can be lowered some. Transfers to general road and bridge out of the general fund. So you guys don't just get 8.5% of the general fund. You also get considerable sums out of other places in the general fund. As you know, we're required to budget 8% of the general fund by law to the indigent defense or indigent health, forgive me. And when we don't use that money the next year, we budget back out. So we're transferring out 880,000 of that fund. A lot of that is going to you guys. So it's not just 8.5% you get out of general fund. There's some conditional more monies that we keep pushing your way. I don't want you to think that we're trying to hold you back here. It's just I want to show you where all this is coming from. What was your request on salary?
43,000.
Okay, where are we at today?
Just under 38, I believe.
Okay,
So going with 7%, I believe it took it up to 42 or just under 42.
okay. There you go. Okay. Yeah, because we have a current, will be 40,557 after base as she currently is, and you're looking for 43.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll take it under consideration for sure. Commissioners, questions for our jack of all trades / indigent health coordinator?
She's done a great job.
She is, she's doing fantastic work for us. And she picked up I don't want to call it a mess, but it was less than optimal. that department was not. It needed attention, and it's gotten plenty of attention. And in the years she's been here, she saved us considerable sums of money, and those savings have directly translated into money into each and every one of your budgets out of that. So,
She can be able to do something for money that you have. Can you talk one time about we have a plot somewhere?
I haven't put that on, we don't have the plot yet, so this is something we talked about, we kind of not put the part for portion. So, just for the public at large, because this is online being recorded, if you don't know that if you die, public burial in the county, you die indigent, and your family disowned your body, which I hate to tell you happens a lot more often than necessary. Then the law says first we must offer your body to science. We won't have a lot of success with that. April comes in and suddenly we're having a whole lot of success with that, getting the bodies donated to medical science. That's what the law says. First thing you have to do. Family, if the family says, nope, not our problem, which I hate to tell you how often that happens. The next is we have to donate it to science. If science won't take it, if they won't take the body for scientific purposes, then it's upon us. There's a bifurcated fork there. At that point, if we know the name of the individual, we can possibly identify him. We may cremate those remains. Our friends in South Texas are having a problem whereby if you don't know who that individual is, you can't cremate them. You have to bury them. But for the grace of God, go I, we've not had that problem here yet. Now, you have the cremated cremains. The funeral home doesn't know, but we take possession of those. So for many years, you are part of the pauper program. You get to spend eternity in the county judge's office. And so there's a number of cremains. Every year we go through and we do a new check. We go with Veteran Service, we go with other folks and see if we can find any known relatives of these individuals. Even though they disowned the body then, somebody may want the cremains now, and I don't know that it's the best way to spend eternity in this courthouse. We've had some success. Occasionally we'll find a new bite. Brad Orton's a great success in getting folks. Anybody with a veteran status, military service, we can get their cremains into the state cemetery and point. That's just no problem there. And Brad has to do the duty of transporting it down there, but we've done it. On two separate occasions over the last 15 years I've been here, we've had somebody walk in the front office, go, my relative last lived in Hill County. Do you know where they're at? And I go, well, can you grab a seat real quick? I think I got an idea. I go back, double check the information, come out and have to inform them. I'm sorry to say your relative has passed on, but I know exactly where they're at. And after signing a release, proving identities, they leave with those cremains. Right now, there's about 8, 9 sets of cremains there at the moment. Yes, sir. So as that has been there for years, well, it number goes up every year.
Did you buy a coffee pot?
Close. So we're getting to the point that's not tenable to hold them in the office anymore.
I didn't think you literally took them off.
No, I'm not joking. I'm serious about that. They're there.
Don't say that.
Yeah. So anyway, what we talked about is if the county could find a single burial plot in a cemetery, if we got a single, and what I'm about to say is going to sound to some people inconsiderate, but I promise you it's not. Bear with me. A single burial plot with a 9-inch auger, we can dig a hole 4 foot deep. In that hole, the cremains come in a box. We can stack, I think we figured out 8 cremains and then plug it with concrete at the top. We can do 3 holes across and 12 holes long. So we can do 36 holes times 8. You get the math real quick. That's how many cremains we can put in a single burial plot. We don't have that many people right now. In the future, will we? That's something that probably could happen. I think sitting in the county judge's office is probably not the most honorable thing to do for remains. It's been a stopgap for many, many years. It's becoming an issue now, hence why we have the new policy, we're over it. At some point this next year, we're going to have to talk with somebody. Regarding, we've had some preliminary conversations, or I have in the past with Marshall, they maintain a couple of cemeteries around here, and there's some other cemeteries we may have access to as well. So I think this year will be the time that we strike to try to get something accomplished. That being said, who's got a postal logger amongst you guys? It's now you do know by law, I can call on you to open and close graves under certain circumstances. So the first guy that volunteers that order will be the last guy called. Okay. So anyway, that's kind of what we're looking at. It's just, as our county gets bigger, you have some of these new job duties that we didn't really deal with, that we dealt with on a very sporadic basis are becoming more and more full-time. You know, where we would get maybe 1, 2, 3 pauper burials a year 15 years ago, we've had, oh my
my
goodness,
4 or
9.
5 at least since I took it.
Yeah, since the beginning of the year, it's just. It's more and more common. Now, it's not as bad this year as it was last year and the year before with COVID. Those were terrible, terrible years. People are. Taking care of their kinfolks better than they used to. And the other thing is, when the body goes to medical science, that's required by law, we don't get those premiums back.
We can,
We don't want them.
okay,
Just to clarify that. Yeah,
because they always ask me.
yeah. It's just not part of the job I realized I was going to get the grant for it. Sorry. True.
County opened up a cemetery
Yeah, that's
on the north end of the exhibit building.
no, I think he's got you on the same page. That's no go. Look off the Crumpton Memorial Cemetery. Right there by that precinct. Back corner, got nothing.
I figure I have a porta potty named after me.
Shooting high. All right, well, cool. Any other questions for Ms. Quick? Okay. Guys, I find myself in favor of doing something about our salary. Again, I don't put increases on my people because it looks bad. People in the past, when I did that years ago, would say you're playing favorites. I don't try to play favorites. I try to be fair. So I come before you guys in the public when I ask for anything for any of my employees over in the public, skipping everybody else. I think Ms. Cook has more than shown her ability to take on multiple tasks, take on new tasks, absorb job duties that weren't there when she got there, and I would ask that we reward her accordingly.
Yes.
43 it is.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate all you do for us. All right. All right, so that takes care of indigent health.
I know in the past,
Already. Yes, sir.
I know in the past that she has done a very good job and there was some money left over that you graciously precincts ended up with it. So I appreciate that 400,000 she's going to give me this year. I'm always looking.
He squeaks louder than that dang chair.
Always looking.
I can borrow just a second. Thank you. I gotta make a note. All right, thank you. So. Thank you.
Do I need to try to make that railroad meeting?
I don't know what all they're gonna talk about. You went to that one Friday. Was it relevant? And what did they would need input from
You
you?
only had 7 cars. And different railroad cars and some independent guy and then all of that. They started using acronyms and I had no idea what that. But when they close the road.
Yeah, I don't know of any crossings that we can close on county road right now and not cut somebody out.
There's
Yeah, we
supposed to
can't.
meet between 10:30 and 11.
It's up to you. If you need to do so, I can adjourn you for a second or,
Well, Miss Swellings is
yeah, let's get Miss Swilling in then.
next one up, and then we're break for lunch, right?
Well, we can, or we can, yeah.
Keep on going.
Up to you guys. So Ms. Swilling is our next candidate up here, and let me go up to the county auditors, O&M. All right, so on county auditors, Ms. Swilling has turned in her budget electronically, which that's one thing I need to point out to you guys. In the future, where we're headed with this is you won't have all these sheets. There will be a link sent to you at budget time, and that request will go straight into this budget, and you'll have the ability to put it in here. Okay, so requested by department for this year. This is a finicky computer here. Oh, we got dues and memberships, which is up slightly from last year, not by much, $70, $75. You have the same for training, mileage, and reimbursement, no increase in bonds and insurance, no increase in contract services, no increase in supplies, no increase in postage, no increase in machine equipment and rental, no increase in telephone, no increase in miscellaneous, basically the same budget as last year. No, you put that in, not me, okay? I didn't do this, so. So what's the increase in machine equipment and rental? I got 32.
What
Forgive
page
me,
got
I
you?
misspoke. It has 3235 in there. because you got the Sharp MC 3071, you got the overage color black and white copies and the base rate for the monthly, which is 33, and then you get the miscellaneous. So yeah, you are correct. I'm sorry. Last year was 2,800 and this year was 3,235. I was looking at the request by department and recommended proposed.
We decreased contract service to 2,500 estimate for our fixed sales system for the items under 5,000. And we try to revive it if we can for our business, so we need a new software for that. The money that was used last year was which I guess
Which has been great.
maintenance on that. We picked up 5.
I think we ought to make sure that we budget accordingly for it.
Okay.
And that's where we pay all the other maintenance out of. And that is one thing we get the IT budget. One of the big things that goes away is the payment on the Odyssey system. This year, we don't have that this year.
Our budget hearings on.
Wednesday of next week, the district judge will hold budget hearings for auditor's assistants, the court reporters. Is that the same day that we're doing CSCD as well?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm confused at the moment. I'll have to look at my calendar. Well, here's my calendar. No, it's this week, the 10th. Forgive me, I'm a week behind here. It's the 10th. Yes, this week, Wednesday. That'll be at 1:30 is what I have on my calendar. I unfortunately won't be attending those hearings. I have 2 different probate matters going on at that same time. So I will try to attend what I can. All right, questions for the auditor? Everybody good with that? Okay, so it's approximately 10:50 right now. What do you gentlemen want to do? We've covered everything from this morning at this point. So we can either continue to march on. You guys just have things you need to take care of. Let us know. We'll be back here at 1 o'clock. Tell me how you'd like to proceed. Get the phone taken up around here before that out. Yes, I don't know. I haven't seen her. And she sits right here for the record. Anything in particular in the county clerk business?
No.
You're pretty happy with where we're at? Okay. Okay, cool. It's just, it's open to the county clerk, what page you want, 20, 30, 30, page 30 there. Come on, there it is. There it is. Page 30. All right, so just looking at the general, no major changes in that budget whatsoever on requests. It looks pretty close to last year. We did go up machine equipment and rental. That's just because of reflection of what we're actually paying, that we're itemizing those things in the budget. The telephone went down slightly from last year, $57, but again, that's a reflection of what we're actually paying plus a small cushion. So no big changes in that budget. So then, the county clerk has a lot of specialized budgets because there's certain fees that can only be used for certain things that have to go in these other budgets. So things that we've got there is the clerk records, that's the management preservation fund. She has put out the contract services. I think historically, a lot of that money's gone to renew books and then other kinds of things like that. And that's the same as last year. That was the 230, the court records management preservation. It's budgeted 100,000.
Oh, yeah, that's what's like doing my class this
Correct.
year. I think we're on the street.
Oh, yeah, that plotter is awesome looking. Cool. Probate records management, again, it's a fee collected on every probate case filed in Hill County. The uses for it are to use to manage those records. Then you go down to the county clerk's archive. The archive fund, again, has a special use, and that archive fund, we budgeted 45,000. That's the only thing that money can be used for is that. And then the county clerk probate preservation. So you have probate record management in the state of Texas, put a separate fee, the probate record, the probate preservation fee. Again, both fees, state mandates we collect, and so we do, and that one doesn't have near as much money. It's a new one. It's like last year, the year before. So we put a de minimis amount, 1,500 in there. So,
This is not on that, but, do part-timers get the COLA?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you find issues in your HR budget, let us know. We're pretty good about catching all the little things, but it's a brand new system. So if you see something, just ask us, point it out, and we will definitely work on that. But it definitely is intended to cover for all Bill County employees, part-time and full-time.
We don't know that I'll question anymore because I'm maybe in my full time. So I did. Last week, on the way to.
Which Emily? There's so many Emily's. You're on.
More to noise.
Tall Emily. Yes, tall Emily. Okay. Yeah.
My part-timers in.
I couldn't keep it straight. So full-time Emily is going to, what's she gonna do in Waco?
Sure, that information, but she did say it was a lot.
I believe it. We lose employees often. What's just, more reviews.
That's an interesting story, been only 6 months. So Thursday, her PTO will kick in. So we have to pay her. Oh, I know I've been talking to one. So,
I think people like, how you earn it, like, 6 months, so that's what the sheriff was looking at, maybe.
I'm opening. Yeah, because the sheriff, I'd let you guys know, over the weekend or Friday evening, Mrs. Stoll did send a proposed policy on that. I just haven't, I've glanced at it, but I've not completely reviewed it yet. And that's something we'll need to take up on minimizing that PTO and then accordingly changing the timeline of when it becomes active versus when it's not. I didn't realize it was as big as an issue as it was within the 6 month
well,
mark.
I mean, I'm not even sure she knows that yet. Sure. I don't know. It's just weird. Thursday kicks in as the last.
Wow. Cannot do that. No, that's on the record. We cannot do that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's brutal. Again, why we have annual leave contingency, because that kind of stuff happens, and then, some officers were first to hold positions open for a month or two, sometimes just pay it off. Thank goodness it's no longer 3 months at a time, but that's always been the reality of our budgets. Anything else for the county clerk? Nothing. Good, then that was good.
I wish it was picking my desk.
Nobody stopped it.
I mean, it's nice and quiet.
It's cold right now. It's super ice cold down there.
Get some things done. In fact, my plan was to move my part-time back down there for a while because we've almost got everything here in the office.
Oh, wow.
We've got one row of some probates.
And that's it.
And that's it. So then we have 1,000 of case files in there that needs to be put in the office. So I was gonna do that, but I'm gonna put that off. a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna, sorry to hear that. All right, Ron, do you want to go over yours? All right, cool.
That same, the bottom line is, not changing a lot of operating, a lot of this just to, to operators, for model, the fuel, that's not too, Rachel, and she will need a scanner of her gas. I need to copy it. There's my screen that she put in a little bit different than. Plaza over that. Actually, the paper used to be somewhat, but paper is not, This just information. Feel free to want to-
Any questions from the board? Any questions for the commission?
Have a writing changes on anybody's open enrollment. Figures out.
Yeah, the-
Insurance that they decided to.
This is over a lot, zero. I looked at it, yes. Saturday night, we do that, 3 people. We still not sure. So, moving it before the navigators.
How'd you feel about the process this time? Obviously not near as hurried as last time, but you felt pretty good about it, or?
Yes, I think it was a lot better than we, once we get the number back. Last year we had some hiccups. With people hoping that they would like the one thing. And then
Yeah.
there was disturbances there, but, this year, a lot of people were to. Enroll online, some things. So it's, even easier and easier for the. To, and see the benefits. It's very transparent. You know, and, changes. So that's an improvement. So, I don't know. Decisions.
Well, on my house, it's very much the
No, they gave you a sheet of paper and showed what you did.
Yeah,
Was the head of
that was nice. That was nice.
Yeah, we're supposed to that year.
You look at the machine and equipment real. We got that following machine or something, I'm not sure that's.
Yeah, so much of them look at that and see if we can do something. We had heard that.
Yeah, and so we paid $507.95 a year for it. What do we do with it?
We also.
How much do we fold with it? Does it fold laundry?
New shirt,
Yeah, because we used to, our business model, we send paper to everybody. Now we send emails to everybody. I'm just curious, it's something we still need. I mean, that's a decision for y'all to make. I'm not gonna tell you how to run your office, but
Yeah. And again.
I didn't realize that was a recurring yearly cost. Other questions for the Hill County Treasurer, ladies and
long
gentlemen?
folder.
It calls things.
Yeah, like-
We don't put them in envelopes, but it's got a little crank on it, that's the foliage.
Well, they need to replace that thing and give us.
Yeah, and
Fix it.
so we need to.
Yeah, if we're paying for that, it's not working. All right, well, cool. Well, gentlemen, this afternoon, it'll be Mrs. Hightower, but she's not to be here till 1:40. Myself, Mr. Torres, and the 4 of you guys, and that's this afternoon's victims or candidates, we will call them. So we've got to this point. There's some things that we talked about this morning. We'll run some numbers, not certain we'll do it over lunch, but we'll definitely have them by tomorrow. In this afternoon, we'll pick up again. I will go ahead and jump in and start taking care of some of the stuff that I put in my bailiwick, you guys, and then we'll work in Ms. Hightower, Mr. Torres when they get there. If there's anybody else, that wants to go, Philip, if you want to go today instead of tomorrow, we're going to be well ahead of the curve this afternoon, so you're welcome to. You don't have to, but you're welcome to. So anybody that wants to jump up and get tomorrow knocked out, we can do that as well. All right, well, in which case then, if there's no objection, we're going to recess for lunch at this point. Let the record reflect, it's 11:01 a.m. We'll be back in this room promptly at 1 p.m. this afternoon, and we will take up our budget hearings. So what's that?
You know, this.
I am, yes, sir. I'm on here this afternoon. What I'll do is I'll take that time up to knock it out. Because Nicole was first and then Rhonda was second. I'll do that and then we'll start going through you guys as Chrissy and Aaron show up this afternoon. And everybody's had a copy of this given to us. You can leave your stuff in here. There's nothing scheduled.
Who's coming back here?
So we're coming back here, be here at 1 o'clock, please. We'll check on our children.
Okay.
1 p.m.
See if I can catch you real.
Well, we can, Chrissy's scheduled to be here at 1:40. If you guys want to be here by 1:30, we can do that. We'll do it at 1:30 then. Just be back here by 1:30. I just wouldn't give them 2.5 hours for lunch. I felt they're not